Roll call. Cynthia here. Linda Alexander.
Here.
Tom Seeley.
Here.
David Eby.
Here.
Catherine Lorenzo is not here, but I assume she will be.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. And Claudia Pedroncelli.
Here. Yep.
All right, we have a quorum. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, has everybody had a look at the minutes? Do we have a,
I did it.
say again? Nobody?
Did you look at the minutes?
I do have one.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, there's a motion to accept the minutes.
I
Is there a
second that.
There's a motion and a second to accept the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The minutes are accepted. All right, we now have public input. 3 minutes for anything that's not on the agenda. You have something to say, Lynn? Yeah. Come over here to the microphone, but just leave the microphone where it is. All right. 3 minutes.
Okay.
Lynn.
I want to bring up AT&T. The landline phones are being disconnected. I don't know if you've heard that on the news. And in Nice, there's a lot of senior disabled people. I have a landline too. You know, I feel it's a life and death situation. I like to know what EJ has to say with maybe Congressman Mike Thompson. About the landline phones being disconnected.
All right.
Okay, can I do one more?
You got one more thing to say?
Yeah.
What is it?
And I like to update the address of 4038 Manzanilla Drive for people to be careful. There's a pit bull down there. They're stripping cars, tires, stealing, and it's very dangerous. Please be careful on Manzanilla Drive and Right Way with the homeless encampment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Any other public input? Ray?
I don't know if I should wait until it comes along about the traffic for the Upper Lake School, because I've got something to ask him. Yeah. Okay, how about Middle Creek project? Is that on this anywhere? Educational building? Yeah.
Oh,
No, the one over here.
you talked that to the council.
Is there anything on there? Should I wait, or can I bring it up now?
Bring it up, do it now.
Okay, I was looking back on November 22nd of November of 2022 on PEG TV at one of our meetings, and it was brought up if they had any contact with what's the company regarding the study of the contractor that was going to do the work. It's two names. Right. That was the meeting they had here. Well, one of the persons they were discussing it with said that he has had no contact with them, and it was brought up by a resident that he called him, and he says he's sorry he has not had any contact with them and he hasn't tried. So is that just up in the air, or have we had any, do we know anything? It's on one of the videos, Deli.
I believe he's talking about the meeting.
We had a meeting here and I was looking back.
No, it's just like
No, it was, November of 22, when they first started the project. And DeLeon said he has no contact with the people and they haven't contacted him back.
No, that's changed, because they had a meeting here like a couple weeks ago
Okay.
about this, and they were basically asking for public input about the different scenarios they had about working on.
It was last month or so.
Yeah.
Okay, because this was brought up, this video that I was watching was brought up when we were discussing about the quad that was down in there cutting the grass with a mower. That's the same video. And
So Thomas has something he's gonna mention.
I'm Thomas Aceves, and good evening, everyone. I just want to mention that on that note, I actually did reach out to the water department about not that particular issue, but the Clover Creek mitigation project. I was just wanted to know what the update of that was with the Scott leaving and Marina not there no longer. So actually, I did get a reply back. This is the Clover Creek mitigation project, which is part of that issue. And Angela De Palma did reply that yes, that project's on track. I have managed that project since it started and will continue to do so. The Caltrans agreement for the funding is being reviewed by our legal and will be going before our board at BOS for approval in less than 4 weeks. Is that right? Okay. I expect I have already secured most permits. I have one more that can't be completed until the agreement's in place, but it's very easy to finish. Physical work is expected to be completed this summer or summer 2025. We have 1 year to remove the sediment piles, and we have 2 to 5 years to restore the shoreline, conduct the vegetation management and native plant restoration, and we have an agreement to maintain the conditions for 5 years post-project. So that's the quote.
When was that email?
This email was dated February 29th.
So, but there's like the meeting they had here a couple of weeks ago. There's the Caltrans part of the Clover Creek diversion restoration.
Clover
whatever they
Creek
call it.
mitigation, yes.
Yes, but that's kind of separate from the Brustad that they're talking about how to maintain the levee into the future.
Cut everything out.
Yeah, they were gonna do all of that. Yeah.
2 years ago, we were talking about going in and taking everything.
That was, I believe that was pretty much, and when we had this meeting here, like 3 weeks ago or something like that, basically they were asking for public input to all these different scenarios. So I would say that the Peterson-Brustad part is still ongoing.
Tim, along that line, with the scenarios that they had shown, they were all very high priced, very expensive.
Yeah, expensive
So, yeah,
and
very-
more expensive.
yes.
Yeah. But
So-
it seemed to me that we were kind of almost back where we started. That with them asking for public input, which I didn't really understand, but anyway. Okay, Ray.
It would almost feel like if they let it lie on the front porch long enough, as they have, or it feels like it, that we've decided that that's a very old issue and we can go ahead and put it in the burn pile.
Explain?
Explained?
I got
Well, like you leave a Sunday tape paper on the front porch. I'll get to it. Then after a month, you realize that's very old news.
Yeah, yeah. So you're saying.
So you
that-
throw it
that
out. But we really,
2 years.
in my experience, and I'd like to be corrected, I have not seen their report. And I've been waiting for it for upwards of 18 months to 24 months. Have you seen their report?
I have not seen a report.
EJ, have you seen their report?
A report of definitive action plan sort of thing?
The plan that was going to be presented first 6 months off, and then 4 months off, and then disappeared.
Or
Right, 'cause-
the meeting they said they were gonna have here and the meeting they were gonna have there, which they did have here, finally.
And that's where the report was supposed to be given, but you're saying it wasn't, right?
Well,
Oh.
it just seemed like they were asking for public input about different scenarios.
Every process needs public input.
I understand.
Were you here during that meeting?
No, she wasn't.
Apparently not, and I regret that.
Who all was here?
I was here, Claudia
Did
was
it
here.
look like a project, or did it just like?
What he presented was proposals. And what I took away from it was that all of them are really expensive, and they just kind of backed off. So we weren't left with anything like, this is how we're going to proceed. This is what they are. And when you looked at the price tag attached to it, it didn't, to me, it felt like we came in here, we listened to these points, and then nothing was, concrete out of it.
It was sort of like we're back to square one.
Yeah, we're back to square one.
What I will do is, since we're in public input, I think I can, there's one thing I think we did in a couple weeks after our last meeting that we did with earmarks for Congressman Thompson. One of the project, this part, for the levies here was requested. So let me find that, so when I give my update, I can associate it with that. I don't know why it wasn't a report for you guys at that meeting. I know I wasn't here for it either, I was out of town, but that's where I assumed that would be given to. So I don't know why.
A sort of a more final report or something. Okay.
Well, I don't have a report, I'm telling you that that's what I assumed, just like you did, that the report would be given there.
You know, Tim, my recollection, or at least my recollection of my experience of the meetings that we did have that were very well attended, and we had like little workshop tables and things like that, this was evidence of a concern for the population who presently live in Upper Lake, whose resources and whose homes were going to be jeopardized by any really big flood, any really big water. And therefore, there was a sense of urgency, which for some reason I'm experiencing it in my own head, but that could be delusional.
All right, okay. Ray,
Ray, what was your take?
Well, it was just something we had a presentation from Caltrans. And they put up their videos, and the two guys that were here, they were showing us how they were going to put the bike trail in and the walkway and all that. It's not going to be started for, I'll be dead by the time they start it, so I don't care about it. But I think what would happen, what I think should happen is we should get like the levee system. Like Caltrans put on a really good presentation. I mean, that was about traffic safety.
But that wasn't about high water and
No, I'm just saying.
low
that
thresholds.
We should have, when we have somebody come to talk to us, we should have somebody like the Caltrans group that come down and show us. Now, I remember that, I forget who it was, put up on the screen how they showed the levee, how the hills on the side, and how all the growth was there, and they were gonna cut this out and this out, but they were gonna leave the trees down the middle, okay? Well, I think if they're gonna clean those out to where they used to be, they should just clean them out. Bring them right back down to dirt, and let everything start growing up.
Yes.
I don't know what they're talking about.
So why don't I get that, because I know that Angela has it, why don't she has the slides, and somehow get it to you all so you can have that and always refer to it. Because I don't remember them wanting to leave trees, but then it's just coming off my memory, yeah. Okay, well, I'll find it, and I'll get it to you all, and then we need to put it on your Worth Facebook page, so you can always have access to it. And if we need to get Angela here, then that's what we need to do.
Good.
But still, they've got all the trees down the middle.
Well, they need to get the city of Lakeport gardening people that took out those tall trees right there at the new park. The ones that were well over 75 years old and were whipped out.
What is that? Native?
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well, no, they said they were leaving the native vegetation. Just in this email that he was talking about. What is it? Can you read that again, Tom?
That's gonna help with,
Hitch habitat.
no, it would help with, I don't even know what it would help with, but native habitat or native plants are there because it's supposed to help with the dirt or whatever, but I don't know if that's the case. I just need to, again, I don't have the explanation, and I'm not a professional.
Well, I didn't know what native plants were because, I can go out to I can buy a house
I have a hard copy of it right here if you,
EJ, I think what confusion is coming, we were talking about the disrepair on the levees, and everybody, originally when this all started, people were afraid that it was going to flood. Well, when Peterson and Scott DeLeon were here, they were talking about going way up with gravel extraction, and everything was this outrageous amount of price tag. And I went away thinking, what are you going to do? You put these up here, but what's going to happen? That's what I was left with that evening.
So the first concern that happened initially was by a citizen that came forward, and Upper Lake was going to flood, and so that's when I know that they had already had the first meeting here in Upper Lake, because I remember that person came to the county and stated that there was going to be a flood, and it's evident, and so that's when we were able to start getting Water Resources to come and talk about what they were supposed to do. Now, the comment and the common thread is we pay our taxes every year to Zone 8, and it should take care of this. For years, it's been happening. And then that's where it kind of flew off as well, because people thought, well, it's going to be... Okay, so I don't know... Right, well, that's the one you can post, and that way you can explain what you're talking about. Because you guys are asking me questions with different time frames, different things.
Different projects,
But I want to stick to one thing, and that is the Peterson-Brewstat situation is an expensive situation, and I understand why it's expensive, and that's where there's a thought process that the taxes that were paid for Zone 8 and everything that's been paid for that is supposed to take care of it. There was a grant that they had as well, because that's what was also written in some article later about with $490,000. I don't know the amount because I didn't see that presentation that you were at. It's probably going to be more than that, and so that's why also they were saying there needs to be more funding that we need to find either grant funding for or something towards. And so with the Peterson-Brewstat situation, to clear everything, that's the holdup. It's also not having the funding. The Peterson-Brewstat report will come, and then we'll still have that sitting there saying, okay, what are we going to use to pay for this? Because then that's when we can start accruing funding. So far, you have that grant, and then we also, and since we're into this now, we went to send a letter. It was on the 12th, I think, real quick. It was on the 5th. We sent a letter to Congressman Thompson to ask to add for the priorities for potential project funding, and that's one of them, because we need to have some sort of funding to cover that. So I don't know where the breakdown is, but what I do know is it's going to cost more than the money that Zone 8 gets. The Zone 8 funds don't sit in accrue because they're used that same year. So whatever we're paying here in Upper Lake, or whatever the case may be, gets used that same year on the mowing or spraying or whatever it is. This is what's been explained to me. And so that's why they applied for the grant, and that's why they're looking at other funding sources to help cover that. I don't know if that sounds familiar, or if I'm not trying to change. This is what I understand. Yeah. And so, but at the same time, you're saying that it's sounding like it's further away, like it's not going to happen. But that's... Go ahead.
Angela's email is very heartening, what Thomas just read.
It's heartening or disheartening?
Heartening in that she's got things moving and just has one more permit to pull, right. And
that's the Clover Creek mitigation, so
right.
That's different than the...
But that's not what we were focusing on in terms of...
That's the Caltrain, yeah, and
right.
that's the area on the left side now. The right side isn't taken care of, and so yeah, that... Yeah. So that's the most that I do know. We did submit for other funding sources, and we're looking for it. And if there's anything else that I can find we can use and apply towards it, that's definitely what we're trying to do. I know for me, because I think you're thinking that that's going to be paid for through the taxes, or?
I'd like to discover, and I think that as people who are homeowners and property owners in this area, they need to smell the coffee in terms of what are the risks of not completing the work or not following through on each particular step of the process that's recommended in relation to their property, their families, and their personal possessions. I mean, that seems like a realistic fear that we all have in terms
Right.
of fire insurance in our area. How much can we afford and how much can we ill afford to lose? But I think that I'm not really clear that the chalk outlines of that body on the floor have been laid out. Maybe that's a poor metaphor.
It is, because I've lost me there. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know how to put that together.
As far as I understand it, the Caltrans is a separate thing from Brewstead.
It's definitely a separate thing.
So
Yeah.
it's like the Caltrans mitigation is in the works.
But
There
that,
also is another project that I, from what I understand, the Terra Tribal Eco Restoration Alliance and the tribe is going to do on the other Clover Creek side, because the tribe of Upper Lake owns that property where the gate is that goes past the Christmas tree farm or something like that. They have something planned as well. And the reason I remember is because Corolla Kennedy, who used to be, she used to be I was on like the Blue Ribbon Committee. She had seen one of the presentations I gave to the Blue Ribbon Committee and then wrote for it as a grant and got it. So I know that Upper Lake and Terra are working with that. Where that's at, I don't know, but the Caltrans is what you referred to and have that report. We need to put, yes. Peterson Brewstat is just that, and we need a lot more funding for that. But-
I'm not really focusing on Caltrans because I felt that was something rather new and they were going to continue to come back to us. But I've been looking forward to Peterson Brewstad for 2 years.
But the Caltrans is what Thomas is talking
And
Right.
Peterson Brewstat came forward, however, they didn't have anything from what you're saying, and I'm gonna have to, because I didn't see a recording of it or anything, so I just have to get what I'm hearing from you and from staff. Right, and so I don't, yeah.
It was just a monetary breakdown of all these different projects,
But
and,
the one guy was from Peterson. Brewster.
right, correct, yeah. Mhm. But it all came back down to money.
How many different avenues were there? Because I remember they said they were looking at 2 or 3 different options.
There were quite a few, EJ.
Right.
Yeah, they listed, yeah, at least 10
They had
or
like
more.
a sheet for comments, like about 6 or 7 different things.
Did they give anything like that out to you all or anything?
No, it was just all PowerPoint, yeah.
And I'm gonna have to start at square one, getting this from them to find out where we're at on that end. Because I wasn't here and I didn't even know about it until the day before. They said, hey, are you coming to this? And I'm like, I'm not here. Didn't know about it, so, yeah.
All right.
To do that survey, and they were paid quite a bit. weren't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were. I'm pretty sure they're still, I don't know if it's finished off or not.
So everything they did,
Certainly the
I
B
think
line.
we should have copies.
Right. Well,
Right.
that's
I'm
something
sure
I
they
didn't
Yeah.
know.
do.
I'm sure there is. I'm
You
just.
just have to find out where it is. All right, so that's a lot of stuff going on there. Okay, special called meeting. I'm going to read this from Michelle The county is beginning the exciting journey of updating all 8 local area plans in addition to the general plan. We are hoping to schedule a kickoff for the Upper Lake Needs Area Plan at a special work meeting on Monday, April 8th. CDD staff and the planning consultant, Placeworks, would provide an overview presentation, answer any questions folks may have, and seek public input about the plan update. We anticipate that 2 hours will be ample time. please let me know if that is something that can be accommodated. Okay. All right, so that's a, CDD, that's the, what's that, Department of Defense?
I think it's, could it be emergency?
So anyway, we have a special called meeting on the 8th of April to discuss the general plan and the local area plan. And we will send out a notice about that to the mailing list in a timely fashion.
Where is it going to be held?
Say again?
Where will it be held?
Right here.
Okay.
And we're going to have, it's going to be televised as well. So that, Thomas, is that going to work on the same Zoom that we have for this meeting?
So, yeah, that's gonna, no, so Sam's gonna have to.
You'll have to provide that.
Yeah, and then I don't think it'll be live either, because I'll be live.
Oh, say one at a time, huh?
Well, yeah.
So he'll make a recording.
Central Region is still having their regular
Yes.
meeting, and then they're having the joint meeting the following day.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I don't think it'll be live. It will end up on TV, but on YouTube, and of course, maybe on Channel 8, but it won't be till after.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Tim?
Yes. Kate?
Is this this is an exercise we do every 10 years?
Maybe even longer.
It should be happening every 10 years.
So there is a document from 2014 in the library archives of aspirations that we can look at?
I am wondering how you're asking me this, because the general plan is outdated and the area plans are outdated.
So you want to look at the last one?
Yes, no, so if you want to look at it's online.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, you guys asked me like you were in like no, I feel like we're in the hearings at like DC.
No, I don't mean to do that to you, EJ.
This is off the subject we've been talking about.
Okay.
What is the law in Lake County about having cargo containers on your property? Do you have to have permits for them, or can you just put a 40-foot container?
It's in the zoning.
Is it in the zoning? Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Once you get it on there, it's there permanently. They have no way to get it off there.
I just was talking to a buddy of mine, and he had somebody come out and give him a permit, and they said, you can't have those there, you have to take them off. He said, why? He said, because they're permanent. He goes, no, they're not. I can take a flatbed trailer over there, which up, move down the other side of the property.
At Blue Lakes, we have several on very vacant lots, housed lots. County came, they said you can't have them there, and 2 years later, they're still there.
That's because the county doesn't want to pay to haul them off.
I don't know.
They don't haul cars off.
We did increase the budget to the tow company.
So. But EJ, that's a planning issue. We'd have to talk to
That would be.
and code enforcement and,
That would be something.
but they say they're going to address it.
The general plan?
Well, there's also, and I'm trying to find it real quick here, community development, the area plans as well. That's another thing that is, this body is tasked to deal with as well, is the area plan. Yeah.
So basically, you want to make sure everybody comes to these meetings.
What time is this meeting?
Um,
April 8th.
It is 5:30,
5:30.
and they said 2 hours, so that's 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay,
Oh,
it is in
that's crazy.
this room.
It'll be in this room.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, I'm assuming we're scheduling follow-up meetings after this, because this is just serving
Well,
your...
not us, not
Yes,
us.
there will be follow-up. In the general plan was 2008 was the last one. Right.
Okay.
And the area plan for Upper Lake was last done, or community growth boundary, Upper Lake community growth boundary. I'm sorry, that's the wrong area plan. I'll find it.
I had a question about the general plan meeting for the 8th. EJ, do you know if Denise Rushing, who's the at-large representative, and other representatives, are they going to be here to participate, since she's going to be representing us in the later meetings? I would assume she
They
would.
have their own specific, like, GSPAC meetings or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they'll be here.
Good.
It would make sense.
I can let her know that, I'm sure she knows, but I'll make sure.
She's,
For a representative for District 3?
yeah, Denise Rushing will be representing our District 3 at their main meetings. So I'm hoping she'll be here as well, to,
We would think that
I
that
would
would be
ex-
logical.
yeah.
Okay. All right, item 5 is subcommittees. That's one I put in there. I've been thinking about creating some subcommittees to deal with these problems that are sort of like always on the agenda, like traffic safety and vegetation and that kind of thing. And I want to talk to the council about if we think that's a good idea to create some subcommittees for to just, like for traffic safety, for the specific one, because it's like doing this one day a month doesn't really give you a lot of energy into that. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think a subcommittee would be important on, especially some of the issues we've talked to here, ongoing issues, that maybe we could focus on those issues separately, and I guess in a smaller
the
committee.
Subcommittees don't necessarily have to be council members, they can be members of the public too.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. And I think that's a good point, is that, instead of just you guys coming here and looking at us, we can come here and look at you too. So the next step is to decide what subcommittees we think is a good idea. So maybe next month we can discuss this a little more about, like, a subcommittee for people wearing glasses inside, that kind of sunglasses inside.
No, for abatement.
Yeah, for all these different things. For traffic safety, for Ohio Road kind of situations.
Yeah, abatement. Thank you.
Okay, so, right, so just keep that in mind. So next month, come with your ideas about what kind of subcommittee and for what purpose you'd like to see.
You mean what kind of subcommittee they would personally like to participate in?
Yeah, I think Kyle Road and I should get together, with abatement problems.
All right,
I got the same problems as they
next
do.
month,
Okay.
come ready to talk.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, Rancho Novoa, do you have any information about that? Got nothing, all right.
Anybody out there got any?
When was that going to come up before the
It
planning?
didn't come to the, it didn't.
No.
Yeah, the last one, they said they brought it and then they pushed it off. From what I understand, it's not coming up this next month either. So either they're working with them or something, they might be changing the plan, I don't know. I just know that, one of the people that were part of the project, I guess, told me not to worry, because I was trying to schedule to go out there and see the other side and see what's going on. They said that they're working with community development, so I don't know exactly what they're doing, but they're doing something. So they're working with them to either address some of this or whatnot, but I don't know as of now. I know that when I called to see if they were coming today, that's kind of what it was.
The heavy rains brought it to a head.
What's that?
The runoff.
Oh, okay.
all from their septic area, from their road that they
They
weren't supposed to
graded?
grade. All their grading is, it's all draining right down into, by the Narrows and just west of the Narrows.
Okay, and that's their work that they did?
Yes,
Okay.
massive runoff.
Okay.
Of course you don't want.
I haven't seen it yet. but
And
I
they're
know-
saying, now, and Rancho Navoa is claiming that it's going into the side of the road and it's a county problem. Because once it's in what would be considered the gutter area, it's a grading issue with that new pavement.
Okay.
And, but the problem is coming from their hillside.
Because when I asked them, well, they asked me to come see because apparently they were going to their planning meeting that ended up taking place, but then they pushed it out. I haven't been able to meet with them, and so, but they've been asking when to come to this meeting because they want to be able to hear and explain, you know, what they can do as well. So they want to be transparent, is what they told me. So I was like, okay, well, last meeting it was too late. This meeting I was able to contact them before, and they said they met with community development, so they're working on some things right now.
Because their other problem is they're landlocked, they have no beach access.
Okay.
The beach access they were claiming onto our property, no.
Oh, okay. I
That-
yeah, I
that-
still haven't been out there.
That's
yeah.
null and void.
That's basically the community development.
Yeah, they're working with community development is what I do know.
But that's where it's at, it's with the county and between them, and they're gonna come up with a plan.
It's not at planning and it hasn't come to the board or, you know, it went to planning commission, but then they pushed it out. So it's kind of like at a standstill.
There was a litany list of things that they didn't do, that they had to accomplish in order for, but they did take public input
At the meeting, yes.
at that,
At the postponed meeting.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what they said here last month. And I do know that they did say they're willing to come here. And that's promising for me whenever I hear someone's willing to come.
The CDD or Rancho Navoa?
The people that are doing the project.
Okay.
I would be willing to, that would be good.
You know, anecdotally, driving between Lake County and Ukiah over the last 3 months, as we go past Blue Lakes, there's a considerable difference in the opacity of the water depending on which portion of the lake you're looking at. We call the east side that which is closest to Scotts Road, as opposed to the other side, the west side and the Narrows, that you can visually see as you're traveling the length of the lake along 20, that it becomes increasingly silt covered on the west side, increasingly silt covered. And I don't know what the little disc is that you drop down and then perceive how many feet of water you can see, but that you can see it from the road, that there is a considerable siltation issue on the west side, I assume, is attributable to these experiments in home grading.
could be.
And I'm wondering, hopefully they've documented that? I mean, that's a,
Community development would have been documenting that and, you know,
yeah,
They're on it.
they're on it.
yeah.
So, on this specific topic about the clarity of the water?
Right.
Siltation.
Siltation of the
Okay,
water,
Okay, so there's an issue.
yeah.
We're talking about those Blue Lakes. So I always called it wrong.
Upper Blue Lake, and there's Lower Blue Lake. We're talking about Upper Blue Lake.
Lower's by Scotts Valley Road.
Right,
That is
Right,
correct.
and you're talking about upper. So yeah, and it's usually always blue and clear.
nope.
Yeah, not anymore, right.
And you can visually see the plume coming in,
Yeah,
I just know that.
especially during those heavy rains.
Since that situation, when they went to planning commission and after, I know that things have been halted and community development's working with both groups. And so it's been something that's not come to me per se, except for by CC, you know, or with the project owner saying, hey, I'd like you to see it, so you can see what we're talking about too. But as for community development, doesn't send me like updates on what you're talking about. You know what I mean? I'd have to ask them, so.
Thank you.
And I will report with them after I meet with them and say, okay, they showed me these things, is this accurate? Does that make sense?
Thank you. All right. Item 7, Pile Road.
It's on? Okay. Well, I'm Dave Hendrick from Sherman Street in Nice, and we got some good news in that Cody Culver has announced he's moving out. He had 3 or 4 vehicles stuck in there, and Mike was nice enough to go over and help tow them out and get them out of the mud that they were in. And he has actually moved a lot of his stuff out. And there's a trailer left there. We're kind of wondering what happens to that if he leaves it there, because it's probably junked by now, but that's at least a positive thing. Nothing has happened with Queenie. She's still up on the hill, and the county code said that it was spring that they would get to it, and it's spring. So we're expecting to see them out there. And I haven't seen much junk going up there. Trash. But I do have a folder of pictures which is available on Dropbox.
You sent them to me, is those the same ones?
Yes, I've added to it since.
Okay.
And I've also got a whole bunch of pictures that have GPS coordinates on them.
I think that's important.
Yeah, so that's out there available, and I can provide it on a thumb drive or whatever. But there's still a lot of trash up there, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. So.
Yeah,
Well, the summer's gonna come here pretty soon.
And then there'll be more. Yeah, and how do we keep people from moving in there? Just moving onto a property and staying there for the summer. There's nothing we can do. It's up to code. We fill out the complaints.
So the guy that moved out left the trailer, was that a travel trailer?
Yes. Yeah.
Can it move, you mean? Yes, I'd get that thing moved out of there quick before somebody else moves into it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And if he doesn't get it out of there, is that up to code to make sure that happens, or?
Yeah, can someone just go and do it, DJ?
Well, I have the contacts for code enforcement, so I can do it. As soon as I know he's out of there, I'll make sure that they know.
Whose property is it sitting on?
He says it's his, but,
Is it real money? Is it real money?
oh yeah, it's real money.
I was gonna say, if you had a truck pull it off, just get it.
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
It's a big lot up there. I had a question.
Bill on the property, or permit the bill, and then he can move a trailer on, he hasn't done it. I've been down to the health department, I've been down to the county.
we decided he wanted to build something there, but then he didn't want to pay.
He wanted to live there, he didn't want to pay,
He didn't want to pay the permit.
we went to the health department and filled out complaints with them. In person, we went over there.
About Queenie or?
About both.
There is no permit pulled for septic and nothing down there, never had.
And I never heard anything from the health department about it. So,
They're supposed to go out and investigate, within their almost a year and a half, almost two.
Is Queenie the one on the way high one with the
Yes.
pickup truck?
yes,
You can see from our.
Yeah, I saw it on my bicycle. Is that where that's her up there, way up there in the?
yep,
Well, she's got a hell of a view.
yeah,
Queenie has the best view in all of county.
yes.
Like all these other people.
And she doesn't own the land according to code
He's
enforcement.
also got a windmill up there for power, and it's not 15 feet up above your head. It's right there where somebody would walk into it and it's running.
Wow.
That's a problem. Yes?
Well, that's a great thing that Cody's leaving. Was that the work of code enforcement, forcing him out of there finally? Because I knew they were working on that.
I think it was the mud.
Well, I know Code said they had red tagged him when he wasn't there to me. They told me that. So some of that has to be a forced issue, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah,
But we might want to think about doing a subcommittee on the other issues, like the trash, and trying to figure that one out next month. Because that's an ongoing passion of all of us to deal with this garbage.
oh, on Main Street, yes, yeah.
Say what? What do you say?
All the trash on Main Street.
Trash on Main Street. Is that
Sherman
an album?
Street
Is
runs
that an
in-
album? Record album?
Sherman Street runs into Main Street, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a dump there that Cody started.
Okay, but it's not really hidden.
No, it's right in plain sight.
Okay.
Oh, it's a mess.
Okay.
It was cleaned
And
up,
and you've told code enforcement?
oh yeah, it was cleaned up about 2 to 3 years ago. It was completely cleaned up. Yeah.
They cleaned up 5 cars a year and a half ago, and then they had 3 more pulled out this last year. And then they cleaned up all, at least, what do you say, 3 trailer loads of stuff. And it's back with a camp trailer and pop-ups. So we moved
Yeah.
on, and we got dump garbage and everything, and then, but this has been an ongoing struggle.
Yeah.
For years with this guy, and now it appears that he's throwing in the towel. Yeah.
Well, code enforcement's they've done a lot, but they just need a bigger budget. They need more people working there, and yeah, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, it is, it's a full-time job. Neat.
Yeah,
And the big thing I keep thinking is that how many county workers are there per citizen?
yeah.
No, I mean, there's no way that there's enough people to take care of everything all at once. Yes, Lynn?
Well, 4038
what?
Manzanita Drive, the guy
You
is
already-
just squatted in the house, and he brings all his homeless friends, and they bring their homeless friends, and the
All right.
whole kid just stacks up the garbage.
Yeah, the one across from,
Manzanita Drive, that's behind the East Post Office and right way.
That old man that lives there.
He's gone. It's a young guy that's come in.
Listen,
Yeah.
he was arrested, he went to jail, he got out of jail because obviously our jail system sucks.
His name's John, yeah, and Amber. You know them?
I don't know the personally, but I think something. The lady at the post office, the postmaster.
this is
Yeah,
this is close to Cody.
Yeah, she's talked to me a lot of
Oh,
times.
that's the
Patty.
file,
She
yeah.
tells me to complain constantly about this.
I think she's the one who got, the son came into a field van over to his house in Lakeport. Those people are starting to move out. You notice they're moving their stuff.
They're moving out? I haven't seen that.
They
They're
are.
doing.
They have a
Crap
thing in
all-
there. Listen,
Okay.
they have a thing in there to move. They've been evicted.
Oh, they have
But they
it.
have
I
to-
heard that.
But they have to go.
They what?
They have to get their, they have a certain amount of time, and he's going to use every single second he can, because that's what they do.
What is it, 30 days or?
No, but this is what I heard from the postmaster. The postmaster, well, you know, she called code enforcement, and she's a postmaster, so I'm sure she had a little bit more pull than your average Joe.
Yeah.
They got rid of the motorhome. They got rid of the.
No, the motorhome went around the corner on Right Way. Right around the corner. They moved
I
it.
know, those girls moved it with, they took it with a car. No, they didn't. I watched them do it. in the middle of the-
Tim? Tim?
This is the one that was in the road.
Tim?
Yeah, they moved it.
Hello?
around.
Excuse me if you're not right.
Hang on.
I rise to a point of order.
Yes.
We're having what we consider up here bickering back and forth in the audience.
All right.
Everything must be directed to the chair from that podium.
Stop bickering.
That's great.
Okay.
We have one speaker at the podium at a time.
Yes.
If you're going to speak from the audience, wait till he's through, he sits down, and then you can come up and make comment.
Thank you, Dave. Dave,
Because we're on a schedule here.
we are? Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I have anything else to
All
say,
right,
unless
sit down
you've
then.
got questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The bigger don't get sidetracked. Traffic safety.
90 years old.
Item 8.
Okay, I'm still, I haven't given up on this issue with the school and the need for a crosswalk to be placed at the elementary, because now it is an absolute confused, dangerous situation each morning and each afternoon for pickup.
Do you think it's getting worse?
I think so, yeah, because what's happening are the kids are out and the parents, a good number of the parents drive their children, and they have to park on the other side of 2nd Street now, and the kids dash off across the street because there's no designated crosswalk. So it has to happen. And Mary?
Ray and I were talking about this the other day, and we're thinking the reason they're not putting a crosswalk is there's no sidewalk.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
all it is a dirt gully, whatever it's called, a ditch. So if a crosswalk goes across, where
It's
are
gotta
you
hit it,
putting
yeah.
the kids going to?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's why it's not working. Yeah, it needs a sidewalk.
It does. And that probably
Maybe
was
if we
the master plan at some point.
a sidewalk, but there's more that Ray wants to add.
I have something on this topic. 8/16/2023, at one of our meetings. I've been off work a month, so I look at Facebook. It was a question to DeLeon about this situation, and he wrote down, he said he'd make a note and call the paint department and sign department to come out and check 2nd Street and restripe, repaint, put new signs up, or whatever. Okay, I still see the same markings on the street. Second thing he said was, if I'm not mistaken, there was a budget for, or not a budget, it was a grant for Elliott and 2nd Street to put up a blinking light and crosswalk on that corner,
I don't know.
if I'm not mistaken on that video.
Did he? Okay.
There was a grant. There was a grant for Elliott and 2nd Street, and we made the comment, well, Elliott and 2nd Street, that's where the curb is, across the street, but now all the kids cross down to the other side. So there should not be any sense in putting it.
Because the new elementary school was built, they're not crossing at Elliott anymore.
Right, that's very,
Okay, they didn't put it in.
But there was,
Where's the grant?
the grants were, yeah. But that's on, his site, it looks like a number 558. That's down in there, because it takes you forever to go through YouTube and all that stuff to try to find stuff. And then you gotta wait for an hour to look at the whole thing. Yeah. I see myself on TV about 4 times in the last month. But you know what, I got rid of the speed bumps, the crosswalks, because that never happened. We've been fighting that thing for I don't know how many years. But this one, what I saw about the grant. But,
So we want to know where it is.
one more thing. I'm not gonna go home. When you pull out of the new school, it's 2 lanes, making a right-hand turn. There's signs saying right-hand turn only.
and they make
But
the left.
there's no stop sign at that. Every place you go, when you leave a driveway or a parking lot, any place there's a stop sign.
Right, that's a very good
School
point.
situation.
There's no
Because,
stop sign.
because they're making lefts off of it too. So it's so,
The only
yeah,
signs on that exit is right-hand turn only.
right, you're correct,
But it's
right.
like, it's not really 2 lanes, it's just 2 lanes wide.
No, it's 2 lanes, it's just painted, 2 lanes.
No, it is. No, I don't think it is.
It's enough for 2 cars.
Yeah, it's wide enough, but there's no
If both
sign.
of these cars turn right, they're gonna crash.
And
You have to stop to let people get around.
I mean, that's the reason why you have a stop sign there to begin with. So this is Thomas.
EJ, with all this ongoing effort to try to improve this safety of this corridor over there by the school, what do you recommend us do next? Go in front of the BOS or do a letter, or any recommendations to try to persuade the department to move forward on some kind of project to improve this area?
You already did a letter though, right?
Did we do a letter already?
We did
Yeah.
one to Scott.
Right.
It's
Was that before he came, or was it after?
And we spoke about it last meeting with the number of pedestrians that have been killed on this roadway. And I don't drive at night anymore, but it was kind of getting dusk, and there are a number of pedestrians that are kind of erratically walking. And, I don't know what would solve that.
Are you talking about the school, or are we talking
I'm
about?
talking about the highway.
Well, the highway is I'm referring to the school corridor. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the crosswalk issue at the school where, that's what you were talking about, right?
Oh, I thought you were talking
No,
about.
I'm talking about the
Right.
school issue.
Right, well.
Well, we started out talking about the school, and
Uh-huh.
then we ended up on Highway 20.
Right.
Highway 20 is a Caltrans issue, and I do have an update. Got an email just a minute ago. I can talk about that, but the school issue with the crosswalks that we've been talking about for over a year, I think. What's the next step we should do? Should we do a subcommittee, or should we?
I'll just report to you guys, when I get my chance to report, I'll tell you more that I've been doing too, because I want to let you guys do your thing too, and then.
Okay, yeah, you'll have an update for us. Can I update, do you want me to wait till announcements on the corridor issue? I just got a,
Yeah.
the Highway 20 corridor issue, Caltrans is responsible for, of course, and there is going to be improvements, as I've talked before, and as EJ, of course, knows, on the crosswalks, going to be improved with the rapid, they're going to be the yellow signs that point down towards the crosswalk. You see a lot of that in different communities. I did reach out to the liaison, Brett, today, and I said, what's going on with that update? When does it go out for bid? And he said, well, it's being reviewed. I said, well, who do I talk to? I just was interested who was the liaison to talk to to find out when it's going to become out of review. But he just emailed me 20 minutes ago and told me that it's going to be going out, they call it advertised. They have all their lingo, vernacular, but it means going out for bid April 8th. He just sent me an email back. So that's good news. Yes, that's an update, 30 minutes ago. Yeah, so stop the email. Anyway,
When they said they're gonna upgrade the stop to the crosswalk, are they gonna put a blinking light in or anything?
well, there's two, EJ's great at, you want to explain those two types?
You're talking about Highway 20 now.
Highway 20 corridor is responsible, Caltrans responsible for
The
that.
other day, I stopped there on Main Street. 2 cars stopped. Bicycle went across. Some old guy with a wagon went across. The guy going toward the kayak. And he kept on going. Here's all this traffic stopped, 2 people walking across the street. The guy actually went around them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now, they do have a sign there that says pedestrian. It's got this, I consider it faded person, kind of yellow sign with arrow. With as many accidents on 20, couldn't they put in a budget where they have?
Well, the budget is for the rapid response, is it?
Rapid rectangular flashing beacons.
Okay, so it'll be flashing. So it'll be like a car.
Right. Now, I do have a meeting next week on the 28th with the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee, and, you know, again, they were here also, as you've talked about, and they're looking at 2031, but I'm going to, you know, as a
For
citizen,
completion or start?
well, completion or start, but I'm going to be pushing for that. We've had these many fatalities in the last 6 months. And they should be looking, we're a huge, high traffic area for, through the 20 corridor. I mean, I go to work around every day to Clear Lake, and it's tons of cars and traffic getting from one side to the other. And they're looking at improving Fort Bragg right now. So I'm going to, you know, whatever my 2 cents is, to try to tell them, you know, we really need to prioritize this area because of the, I don't know how many fatalities Fort Bragg's had. But this area, didn't we have like 3 or 4 in the last 6 months?
They just had another one a couple weeks ago on 20.
Right. So I'll do my best to, with my input, try to see they can take that and understand that's improving it.
If you want to start a committee for the school, the mayor would be happy to help.
Next month, we'll talk about that. Come prepared.
Don't say that.
Fire district. No fire district. Yes,
I
Kate?
can informally speak to that
Yes,
because I'm a member of the North Shore Support Group.
yes.
And the North Shore Support Group is a group of non-fire trained individuals who are available to attend fires in support of the active firemen, basically by providing an aid station, a coffee station, and refreshments, and having brought a vehicle with a toilet establishment onto the scene. And we are looking for new blood. We're looking for new members. It's not stupendously physically taxing, but you do sometimes turn out after midnight to attend a fire or to attend a livestock truck overturning or something like that. So if anyone is interested in joining the support group, there's a once-a-month meeting for various training and discussion on both techniques and the technology of the trucks and the radios. Please see me.
Where's the meeting?
It's at one, it travels from one fire station in the North Shore to the next.
All right.
It's
And
once a month on
Is
Mondays.
there a notice of that somewhere online?
There probably is, but if someone comes to me, I'll see that they get one.
All right.
Would this be like an on-call, they have an incident, you get a phone call?
Right,
it goes on and take
right.
off?
You're given a radio so you can monitor and hear what,
Basically, if you have a full-time job, you
Then-
can let your employer know that you're on a task force, so it'd be okay to take the time off.
you could,
I know they run, I know people across the street, they even have 2-3 days of it.
well, that was during the big fire 4 years ago, that's for sure. But not many people were being actively, regularly employed at that time either. I haven't had the benefit of being called away from a day job. It's always been at night.
So if you work all night, you can't work the next day.
Well, you don't have to turn out for each and every one.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Ray. Vegetation removal requests. How does Elk Mountain Road looking?
I don't know. Still haven't talked to Bobby. His dish being cleaned out. Haven't seen him, he's on the road too much. About the vegetation was all cut out. I still believe it was the county who was down in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had their backhoe, they had the dump trucks.
It was. Scott told me about that.
Okay.
All right.
I'm glad to hear that. That they did do it. I'm just telling you, I'm just glad that was I don't know what.
He's been here longer.
No, it was
Yeah, long.
yeah.
That's what he told me.
I just know he told me that he did it.
Now, on this subject, the county was out here on 20 different streets digging out gravel out from the bridges. Yeah, they were over here on 20 digging gravel out. A few weeks ago, they had the excavator out there digging gravel from the truck. And we were just cleaning them out.
Like that Clover Creek?
That could, has that stopped, that project they were doing? Was it a one-side thing? Which project was that on?
And that's like a bridge project they're starting.
What other street did they have closed down? They had, they were digging gravel out from the stream bed. Yeah. I just was wondering if it was a project and they stopped it because of the rain or? Because I know right there by Reed's gas station, they had their backhoe or whatever.
That's close.
Okay, they were digging all the gravel out, putting it in the dump truck, in the cherry bushes.
I'll find it.
it just something they possibly redoing today?
You don't know. We'll find out. All right.
I just wanted to,
If I see it on the agenda, I'll notice anything that has to do with Middle Creek, anything that has to do with Upper Lake. As soon as I see it, I will find out what is happening. I just see something like that.
All right, so we're up to announcements. Would you have something to say that you'd like to update us?
Did you want me to?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
No, this is what I wanted to, I thought that maybe it would be better if I just kind of went over some things with you guys. Here, that way I'm on camera too.
Yeah.
What was it we started with? Because there's something we started with I said I'll get to when I give a report. Which one was it?
Clover Creek Diversion Project.
The Clover Creek Diversion Project. And so one of the things I know about last year, the property owners were given documents, right of entry forms, and that may be something about what's happening as well. But it's conservation, this 3 C's, Conservation Corps is supposed to work with either the county. I know there's a contract that came through with the county for that Clover Creek area to clear that out. But they need right of entry forms first. And so I know that that will be taking place because I remember last fall, I got some emails and stuff from people saying, hey, is this true? And I was like, is it? I got to find out. And so I found out it was. But that takes them to make that agreement with the people that own the property on the creek. So that may be one of them. I don't know if that's it. I know that some, today I got a call from Upper Lake citizen that was worried about some hitch that had been stuck. And that was today exactly. Now, apparently someone had cut something and it was a personal property owner that cut something and they hired someone to cut something and it left some of the, branches and whatnot in the creek so the kids couldn't get up. There was a group of people that went out, cleared it, and now they can get through. But that may be what was happening. I don't know if if the county was looking at that or clearing it. I'll find out, like I said. But the Clover Creek is scheduled to be working with Conservation Corps, TERRA, Tribal Eco Restoration Alliance, that's what TERRA stands for, and the county to clear the Clover Creek for sure. I know that. That's the right of entry forms. Well, okay, so that's the Clover Creek side. That's all I'm talking about right now because you said Clover Creek. Now, if you're talking about Caltrans, I forgot what they call it. They call it something else. Caltrans, that's with Angela, and that's in the project that you have right there. Yes.
Clover Creek Channel Mitigation.
Right. Yes. And so that's still on schedule. Right. That's just solely that chunk, and still not what we want, but it's covering some of that area. And so we really need to get that probably posted on either the Facebook or let's get that up there so that we could always refer to it because I'm glad you did those videos and stuff and look through them. It helps to keep those receipts, like how you were saying. We've been having these meetings since December, and now we're here at Peterson-Brewstat, and we feel like we're at the point where we're back at square one, And so that's where, with this input, I can get to the point of: are they choosing this from these 12 options? Has it been chosen, or what happens from here? Because like you said, how much did we pay for that contract for them to do that, right? And so the most important thing is to find out who chooses. Pretty sure it comes to the board, but I think they wanted the town hall's input. So what I'm thinking needs to happen, first I'm going to find out, what were the details, what was expected from that meeting, and then maybe with the input from this town hall, which would be the most ideal for your recommendation, so that when it comes to the board and there's a choice for like a contract or whatever, I would definitely say, well, Upper Lake Town of Worth said they would choose this one. However, the money is the problem, right? And so finding funding, one of them is us sending a letter to Congressman Thompson, putting that project into the scope of possibly getting funding. We got some for Middle Creek Restoration, which is the levees, which is where the Rodman Slough area is. And so that's what the Middle Creek Restoration Project is. So it's difficult because they both have the same sort of name. But he gave us last year $750,000 for that. So that's sitting for that project because we have to buy all those properties up before we can get into the project description, which is, I think, where we're supposed to go next with Peterson-Brewstadt. We still don't have all the funding for the Middle Creek Restoration Project itself, but we're getting there, right? And that's where I think, that's why we're putting this funding, requesting from him to help us with that funding, along with the grant funding that I know Scott got in 2019 that was listed in the article. So there is some funding sitting there waiting to be spent for the Peterson-Brewstadt issue. The whole Middle Creek flood control is what that's called. Middle Creek Restoration is Robin Slough. So I do know that we've put in at least a request for that along with the grant. I think the next step, if you're okay with it, I'll get the information from them and get it to you so you can have it on the agenda to look at which you prefer at least, right? So we can go on from there. Does that sound like something? To move forward with Peterson-Brewstadt with that situation.
So of the options they put forward, we want to pick what we think is the best one.
Well, first, what I need to do is find out what the next step. What is their next step? Was it just to come here and report to you guys those 12 options? Because it sounds like everyone here that was there, doesn't really even know what we're supposed to do from there, right?
Quite honestly, I don't know. I walked around the table. I didn't see anybody's comments that anybody left any comment on any of those things. So basically, the way I felt was like we've been talking about this stuff for years, it seems like, and then suddenly we're talking about making a choice, which I would have thought was part of the process of the whole study, that they would come to what they considered the best option. And then it seemed like they were asking us what we thought the best option was, which I didn't quite understand.
Well, because I think that's where and this is just me thinking now that earlier you were asking me and it was all coming to me. Now that I'm able to process this a little better, from what I understand is if they're going to present something to the board, they need to know what the town hall recommends. And that's why I'm asking you.
The local town.
Right, because Clear Lake Oaks doesn't need to have input on what happens in Upper Lake. But that's also what's important for us as a board to know is what the local municipal advisory committee thinks is most important, and the stakeholders and the people that came to the meeting. So when they come and report it to us, they say, hey, look, we did this meeting, we did these 12 options. The people that live out there want this one to be done out of the 12, and the town hall feels the same way. And then the board of supervisors will either decide or, and that's where I'm seeing it coming to the reason why they need your input.
Right, and along with that, EJ, they didn't really have any recommendations. They just put these things out there with enormous price tags attached, and that was the content of that's what I took from the meeting. Here are your options. There was no handout material. It was all, PowerPoint.
It was all PowerPoint, nothing left out?
No, I don't think it was just that. Basically, that guy was talking.
Yeah, but
from Peterson-Brewstadt, there was no PowerPoint. Nothing.
I had a quick question. So the Peterson report, that's what you're referring to, is complete, and that's what they're showing you, the options?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
They had done whatever they were going to do, and they said they had these different scenarios or options for action, and they wanted to know, like you just said, what the citizens thought was about them. I don't know necessarily what they thought was the best one, but just what was their opinion on all of them, sort of thing. And like I say, I didn't see anybody leaving any comments.
Okay. And so what is your board or council's opinion? Are you wanting Brewstadt to recommend to us what we should do? Or does the council want to have the choice, or you just want it done and that's that?
Well, if you come back to where we started with this whole thing, back when we did our presentation to the...
Well, Gary Lewis said it's been going on before when he was supervisor, and that was in the 90s. So, I'll just remind you not to shine the light on...
No, I understand that. But our basic idea was it should be returned to its original state.
Okay.
Pretty much, I mean, I don't.
Which, the original state when they made the.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, you see the pictures where it's just very.
Yes.
Clean and beautiful looking.
You wanted as close to that as possible, as pristine as it was when they initiated it, and that's what you all have always said, even in your letters, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how else you would do it, except, I mean, they obviously had an idea when they devised all this about how it should be.
I really wish they'd have left you all with some paperwork so you would, instead of having you do that.
Yeah.
I sent an email to Betsy today, and I said I was thinking about making a comprehensive document with everything in it, from the original Army Corps of Engineers study and the
Okay.
whole thing.
So you all still need that. Who all was even here for that besides you?
Just Claudine
Just
and
Claudine.
myself.
Okay.
And Gary Lewis was here? He was here.
So you need that documentation, and I need to find out
If
what
they have something.
I need to find out what they're expecting to happen from here, because
Find the paperwork on the findings and how much it's gonna cost.
Or what was the result of their meeting that they had here?
okay. And so that's a task to have for you to have on the agenda for next meeting. Doesn't need the Peterson Brew, it needs me to have an explanation as to what's supposed to happen next, right? Does that sound like a
Yeah, but if I don't see how they can have any paperwork at this point that says what they've decided, because it was only a couple of weeks ago, and they had all that information out there. But, obviously, like I just said to you, that our sort of general idea was that.
I just want to, so I want to know what you guys want me to
As close as you can get to
do.
its
What
original
what can I do to make this move forward for you?
I think we want to know what they consider.
What I don't want to do is just ask a question and come back next month with nothing, so
And
then
say,
that way you guys are like, wait, that's not what we want. I want to be able to go and say, hey, I need paperwork, I need to know this, I need to be able to tell you all, like, oh no, these are the 12 choices for you all. And so that way, and I want to have that paperwork so you all can look at it and say, and with the community here to say, we want 1 out of 12, here's our second choice, here's our third choice. And
Right, well, my idea about it was that they were the professionals that were going to go in and do the study and then bring a recommendation. And I didn't get that from that meeting. I mean, it just is like, here it all is. And,
I see.
obviously we've paid them for the study, which was it'll be 2 years in October. And they were supposed to bring it back that November, and then everything got pushed. And obviously the price of everything rises from what the recommendation might have been then, but it wasn't a recommendation per se. It was just, here are the options. That's what I didn't.
So I remember
feel like-
when they started, they said there was like 2 options or 3 options, and now you're saying there's 12. And
10
so
to 12,
they were
right.
supposed to bring options to choose from, I guess, or
I didn't even, I thought it was going to be a presentation. They were going to say, okay, this is a study, this is what we recommend, this is where we need to go. But they just listed all these different, I guess processes, but they all had enormous price tags. And it was kind of like, oh, this is really going to cost a lot. So there was no real conclusion after
Okay.
sitting there through the meeting.
Okay.
By putting the emphasis on the price point without information and input as to what the population value, the structure values, and then the larger environmental values to all the stakeholders, it sounds like they're basically choosing not to exercise some kind of constructive professional judgment and put it all down to price. And I'm not sure that was what one hopes would come out of that kind of consultancy. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. What I'm confused about is, again, I still haven't seen this, and I need to see
Yeah.
it. But I just remember them saying they had more options to look at, and that what I do know is anytime that there is a project like this, they want to have the community's input, and I think that's what they were looking at. But yeah, the price tag.
Step one, I'm not here to look at it.
Right.
What happened to step two? Are we talking about step two right now? For payment?
Well, they were supposed to come and report to you all. Apparently they did, but it wasn't clear enough, and it
Well,
doesn't.
this was the meeting that they had been talking about for
Right.
quite a while.
Right.
And they were gonna have it at Running Creek, and they were.
And I remember it stopped one time because they says, "Oh, we have to look at another option." I didn't know it was like 8 other options. I just,
Yeah, that was a bit surprising.
Right.
That was a bit
Right.
surprising.
Right, because we were only expecting 2 to 3, maybe 4 at most, and not even that, because the most important thing was just to get to a point where we can move forward. And then you said there's 12, and so that's what's.
It was a bit overwhelming.
I would recommend, EJ, to find out, obviously, all these options were on the table here. Have they picked an option? Are they waiting? What are they waiting for? I guess, yeah.
I don't think Peterson Brewstad makes that choice.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
But the options were here for the Public Works, right?
For Scott DeLeon.
To make a choice on one of those options and then try to look at funding and the,
Well, I don't think nothing Public Works makes, they don't make a choice, they just bring the options to us.
Yes.
And so I think, I'm assuming without knowing right now, that they were trying to get your input so that when they did bring it to us, it would have the input. But then, it sounds like there's other, that's why I need to really find out more about this. But what I want to know is when I do get the information, I want to be able to not only explain, but I want to be able to move forward with it that same day, rather than just telling you, this is what I found out, and then we're waiting I don't want to make you wait another month. And when I come back, I want to have everything here, and that way we know clearly what should be happening next after that.
Right, and a lot of the comments were about past history, how it's been, and, kind of veered off in that direction without, anything conclusive
With them?
on their part. Yeah,
Right.
and people came and voiced their concerns and past, as I said, past history with the levies and so forth, so.
Oh, at that meeting they did? That's what it was? Okay. I really wish they recorded it. Yeah.
We didn't record that one?
No.
From what I understand, it wasn't. Because I was looking for it because I wanted to be ready for it. Yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood the intent of there being a consultancy, but I was hoping that they would be presenting something that would weigh and measure not just the economic cost, but the land cost, the property cost.
Well, you could consider all of that economic.
Yeah, and what this will do in terms of thoroughfares and what this will do in terms of existing neighborhoods. And if any changes are projected, how will those have an impact on the present population who are enjoying living in Upper Lake? In other words, is there anything in any of these suggestions or proposals that will impact the quality of enjoyment in those neighborhoods or create a jeopardy downstream? Because isn't that something that the county and our group needs to consider?
I think that's why they're bringing the options here.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I don't want to just take whatever's given from a report from Peterson Brewstad and just pick the cheapest one or the whatever without knowing what you want, because the first thing that's going to happen at the next meeting is you guys are going to be like, why did you choose that?
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I
Yeah.
want,
Well,
yeah.
but it's, you want to, I mean, obviously, in an absolute sense, you want the best solution, no matter what it costs.
Right.
But then you don't necessarily.
But you also need them to kind of explain, now if I can get this report and we have it and I can say, this option is, did they explain any of that stuff at that meeting, Tim? Like what the option was, or they just put it out and said, look at it?
Well, I mean, they talked about, I don't know that they specifically went into depth about each option. I don't think there was enough time to do all that.
No.
Okay.
The only thing they really covered, I think, was the gravel extraction and about the cost of the permits, that they're exorbitant. They went into more detail about that, as I remember.
Well, one thing that's promising too, while you said the gravel permits and how expensive they are, one thing that did come out of the meeting about the hitch with California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and that was in November, and then they did another report of it, I want to say, the beginning of March, is they had also talked about giving funding to help with the hitch situation. This definitely fits that category. So I'll make sure to add that to my discussion with Mr. What's his name? Chuck Bonham. That could help with some of the funding that we need, right? The grant and everything else. So it just made me think of it right when you said that. So let me get that information for you and give you a better explanation to what's the next step is, because I think that might have been all that Peterson-Brewstat was supposed to report to you on. I'll find out if they have to report more, but they might have to report to the board when it comes to us. That's where I'm trying to get at, and I think obviously I need to talk to Public Works, to Scott about this to find out where we're supposed to go next with it. Because from the way I assumed is that they needed 2 or 3 options. Apparently they had 12, and that from there, then we would go into how we're going to get to the project and collaborate the funding, right? Because that's what we have to do. I know with Middle Creek Restoration, we have to do the same thing. We have to get to that step. So what we're doing is, with Middle Creek Restoration is, we have to buy all the properties, which has been going on since 2000. Now that we're getting close to like 2 or 3 more properties at Middle Creek Restoration in that area, the Bloody Island area is, so once those are purchased, we have to have specific funding ready for program design, a specific amount. And we've got that sitting there waiting. We've already put that money towards it. Congressman Thompson gave us some funding towards the program itself. And then now we're looking at the PG&E situation, because each tower is on there and we have to have that funding ready for that too. So what I'm thinking of in this project is, once we have that project design ready as well, we get to that point where, okay, we're collecting the funding. So once we have that funding, we can move to that next step. So I think that's where we're at, is trying to pick which option is most ideal. But it doesn't necessarily need to be the cheapest one. It might have to be the more expensive one, because we want it to fit the community. And that's one thing you won't get from me when it comes to bids, is I go for what fits. So I understand it may be more, but we'll figure out how to get that funding. But I think out of the 12 funds, or the 12 choices, we need to figure out which one fits the Upper Lake the best, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me, so that's the number one thing that I have to have for you, and you and I will get that ready for the agenda, so that we can, once we leave next month, you'll know where we're going from there, at least going from that, right? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so I'll go on to what you were talking about, Thomas, the rapid rectangular flashing beacons. That Caltrans project that Thomas was talking about, it goes from Upper Lake to Clear Lake Oaks. There's going to be, I think, 2 in Upper Lake, 3 in Upper Lake, 3 in Lucerne, and it could change. It's just a tentative list that I've seen. 4, I think, in Lucerne. Glen Haven has 2, and Clear Lake Oaks has 3. There's supposed to be quite a bit, and so the flashing beacons go on, so where the triangles, the walking sides, they'll have flashing beacons when someone's walking across. They press the button. Now, I was in Sacramento last week at the Rural County Representatives of California meeting, RCRC, and the Secretary of California Transportation was there. He gave a report to all of the rural counties that were there, and we were asking questions. Because he only had an hour, not all of us got to ask a question. He didn't answer it, so I walked out in the hallway and caught him, and I told him about our situation. We've had all these deaths in the last year. I mentioned, actually, I just said 10, because I said not just being hit, but also accidents because of the safety and the concerns on our highway as well. And I mentioned that we are one of the, even though they have the South County project going, where they're trying to encourage all of the more expedient traffic to go around on that highway towards around 29, we still have a thoroughfare here that's very dangerous, and people constantly use it. The RRFB is what they're called, rapid rectangular flashing beacons, are nice, and we like that and we appreciate it. but we really need the high activity walking crosswalks. Hawk is what they're called. And that is like in Ukiah where they stop everybody. So you pull up and you see those lights and they have to stop. They stop and the person walks across the street. And I told him and his staff, I says, we really need one in each town. So we need one in Upper Lake, we need one in Nice, we need one in Lucerne. At least in each town, one of those along with the RRFBs would be ideal. The safety, because that's what he kept hitting on in that meeting was safety. Safety is the most important. And I said, this is the most safest thing for us. These RRFBs would be nice, but we really need one Hawk per town, even in Clear Lake Oaks as well. And then the RRFBs will be a nice addition, so that way, if this is going to be the slower version of traffic, we need to have that. And so he was, of course, as any secretary or person in charge, is like, yeah, okay, let's make sure we do that. The lady that was with him, though, said, she goes, well, where at on Highway 20? And I says, well, like, for example, in Lucerne, Froster Freeze is one of the areas. She goes, yeah, well, I know they don't have Nice Frosty anymore because I travel through there all the time. And I was like, yeah, Dollar General's there. She's like, yeah, well, you guys need one there, that's for sure. Because she travels through there, so she knew, and he made that connection. He's like, good, contact him this week, and let's make sure, because that's important. We need to make sure. So I followed up with her with an email. I'm waiting on it, and I'm going to keep hitting on that because I really feel we need those. So I was really glad to make that connection, and I was glad they knew what it was, what our county was as well. So that's just wanted to give that, just to let you know that that's another avenue that we're taking, right? So yeah.
So these high-activity walking crosswalks, is this going to dramatically raise the visibility at those crosswalks so that they're beacon bright?
If we could get them to commit to putting one in each town, the lights are on top of a pole up top and on the sides, and it flashes yellow lights to where they have to stop.
So in other words, in Nice, at Sayre and the Standard Station, which is basically a black armpit at night, this would be dramatically much more visible.
Yes. Even the RRFBs would be.
You push a button to operate.
If we can get them to commit to those and get that there, that's, yes.
Is that what it looks like?
Even the RRFBs will be. And speaking of that, in Lakeport, at the baseball field behind, I think it's on Hartley Road, where Clear Lake High School is, I was just talking to Thomas about it. They have a small RRFB just for like a crosswalk from here to you. So I've contacted Lakeport to see how they're going about it, and then I'm going to work with Public Works because I would like to see if we can get that here that can help with your situation with people walking across from, the elementary school and whatnot.
If anybody's ever in Ukiah, they've got them down State Street.
Right. And that's the Hawk, I think, right? That's where they stop, yes.
When you're talking to the city of Lakeport about their signage, would you ask how it is that they have the flashing red stoplights at 11th and on Main? Because I think those would be very powerful.
Okay.
And they've got at least 4 of them in downtown Lakeport.
Okay. I'll ask that, yeah. Kevin will get back to me.
Of course.
Well, yeah, I want to be able to do this because it's Nice. I'm sorry. Upper Lake, Lucerne, and Clear Lake Oaks each town is talking about this same exact thing, and so we've already brought Scott here and all of that. But I want to figure out how to get these RRFBs. Maybe there's another way I can find the funding and just get them put in, not have to do no studies or anything like how we're talking about because that's
No studies, please.
right. So I'm just putting that out there as well.
Talking to Scott about this, should you talk to Caltrans about it?
Well, Caltrans only does the highway, so I'm trying to talk to, that's why I'm talking to the city because they figured out how to do it on there, and I'm wondering how they got the funding or what they used so that I can go look for it. Because what I don't want to do is go to Scott and say, I want these, help me get them, and he's got all these projects. If I can go find a way to get that same funding on my own personally, and then give it to him and say, hey, I want to pass this, what can you do to do this? Then I can get it, and then we don't have to have these, then 2 years later, where's it at? Well, I'm waiting for, I don't want to do that to you all, and I don't want to burden him as well. If I can do something in the middle to get it done, that's where we're looking at.
Because we hear he's looking forward to retirement by the end of the year. So we don't want to
Right.
have any little projects
And
left
whoever takes
undone.
his spot, yeah, right? Yeah,
You know, we gotta get as much out of them now.
right, right. And so, so that was the other thing. I don't know if there was something else that we were, there was 24 swearing of new officers that graduated. There was like 24 that were part of a promotion, new hire, and graduation of cadets for law enforcement. So what we've been doing that I've been talking about for a while of our budget implementations to help with law enforcement has showed some sort of work and showed some sort of fruit, because we had a lot of new hires for correction officers, some deputies, and then some promotions. And so that's promising, right? And so,
The correction officers go through a different training than the sheriff. the deputies.
yeah, I think so. Yes, they do. They do.
I was looking at that same article, that I think they hired 3 sheriffs.
Yeah.
and like
3 deputies, yeah.
3 deputies, and then like 6 for the.
I think so. I think it would have been more, yeah.
I didn't know if they can overlap.
Well, that's what, right now, that's what's happening. Your deputies that we want on the streets, on Manzanita and everywhere else, they're having to go back to corrections or to dispatch but now that we have these positions filled, that's less time they have to go back and do that work.
Now, you probably don't know, if new hires that started, I know they got a bonus plan.
Right.
Okay, do they have to stay?
Yes.
For so many years?
Yes. Yes.
They don't just get trained and then go to.
I think it's 2 or 3 years, one of the two for sure. So they,
That's this county's biggest problem. In any department, people come in, low income. They come here to get experience. They get experience, they still live here, but they drive.
Then they go
They
to,
go someplace else, they go to.
and if that happens, I think I know for sure if they do decide to leave employment from Lake County, they have to either pay it back or something like
I
that,
just
so.
heard that there's a firefighter, moving. She's been with them a long time.
Right, that's true. I heard that too.
They've got a juvenile that's an adult now that went through all their training, and now he's in school to become a firefighter. They hope he comes here.
That would be great, because I know we're struggling with that in our fire district as well, is paramedics and EMTs, yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to get any problems.
right.
Couldn't we get old Gavin to put some funding out?
I did have a chance to say something to him for a minute. I went with the tribe of Robinson, because each tribe of California has a state of the California tribal nations each year. And so I went with Chairman Cromwell for Robinson Rancheria as his support. No one else was going with him, so I was like, okay, well, can I go with you guys? Because I'm the vice chair of the tribe, I'm not as responsible for the tribes as I used to be, so I tag along and just vote and do whatever. But I do my job at the county, but it supports, right? And so I was able to get into the room with them on that meeting to talk about mainly, just issues that the tribes have and things like that. One of the chairmans from the other tribes, he didn't say anything, so I was like, can I take his minute? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And so I spoke about, of course, fentanyl is a big deal. We all know that we're having all these situations where people are overdosing, but I also emphasized to him, I says, I understand that you and the state legislators are working on fentanyl and some of the charges for it, but the biggest killer, the silent killer that nobody talks about is meth. We really need to hit meth. That's the biggest problem that we're all having. It's nickel and diming all of our resources. The tribes are public law 280 states, so we depend on the local sheriff. And so our local authorities are using all of our, we're being drained because these same people that are using meth, selling meth, are getting right back out, doing the same thing, cutting the catalytic converters, dumping in our hills, stealing cars, stealing this. And so I did say that to him. He did respond, but he talked about the fentanyl and what he's doing with that. I mentioned too that the illegal grows of cannabis are also part of the problem because it's the unknown. It's like a Pandora's box of things that are happening that we can't count, right? And so, and I told him, I says, you do have the National Guard at your disposal. Maybe you can activate some of them. I used to be a soldier, and if you're a reservist, you really do appreciate having active duty time because it gives you more time served, more towards your benefits, and more towards like ribbons and stuff, or time served or whatever. So I keep telling everywhere I go to either the state officials that are like the Fish and Wildlife or wherever, talk to them, tell them about the National Guard, because we could use them to help. Well, since our sheriff is under resourced, that could be a way to get help with the cannabis situation, at least the illicit cannabis, and maybe even aid the law enforcement. I don't know. I just think that if he can have that at his disposal, why not use him? So I said it. He did answer. It was a 6-minute response. I need to really transcribe it because I recorded it, but I don't. I just know he talked more about the fentanyl situation. So.
Well, with the state fentanyl and everything right now, it's in your cocaine, other stuff, it's in everything you cut it with.
Right.
I don't see how there's that much, well, there probably is, there's that much out there that if you use that drug to cut another drug.
No, well, they use meth.
Yeah, you use that.
Yeah.
But it's ruining our neighborhoods.
Well, and that's why, yes.
That's right.
Well, the problem too is it's denigrating your area where you live in, and people are just getting out and stealing again and again and again. There's communities that have got videos of these people committing these crimes, and we're still having a hard time prosecuting them or anything like that. So, yeah. So I just letting you know that's another thing. Yeah. Is there anything else that I missed? Maybe. Sure.
It's January.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, do we have any announcements?
Yes, there's going to be a Clear Lake Gleaners distribution tomorrow at the Nice Event Center. The distribution time is from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and we have food sufficient for 144 households. And I look forward to seeing anyone who is food challenged, elderly, homeless. We don't turn people away. All I require is your name. I do not need to see any identification to basically inscribe you in the roll and have you served groceries.
What time is that?
From
8 to 10.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
I know it's around town.
Say again?
The homeless, in Upper Lake. We don't hear much about them. I see a couple. It's not like it was 2 years ago when we were like.
When we were talking about it more.
It's terrible news.
Yeah.
2000 was the last time your area plan was done for Upper Lake.
2000.
In Upper Lake and Nice.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Any more announcements? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The meeting is adjourned.
So I don't know if you guys know, but you probably know that that's what they're going to be putting up throughout the North.